Hey there, welcome to the Dallas Palace of Analysis, episode 3. I do these as always for the Strickland, which you can see somewhere here, probably. If you haven't been over to the site lately, check it out, or the Twitter account, check it out. Awesome videos always on the site, breaking down plays from the night before. And, on the site itself, there's always great articles. And then the podcast too. Go listen. Sometimes you'll hear me on one of them. I do the mailbag sometimes with Drew. And yeah, check out the Strickland. It's always good stuff. Okay, without any further ado, let's get right into the topic for today, which is overhelping. Okay, so a classic feature of Tibbs' defensive schemes is overhelping, right? The number one thing Tibbs cares about when it comes to defense is, give you a moment to answer. If you said protecting the rim, you were correct. It's protecting the rim and this area, protecting this area. So what you're going to see, well, first of all, that's why he likes big rim protectors like Mitch, right? And that's why he wants a 5 like that on the court as much as possible. And that's why he likes drop defense so much, is it's more likely to result in better rim protection, sometimes at the cost of more threes or pull-up jumpers. But for him, that's a reasonable or worthwhile trade-off. Protecting the rim is the most important thing. Okay, so what does that exactly amount to schematically? Okay, it amounts to a scheme that requires overhelping all the time. Okay, so watch what happens when Ja Morant begins to make a drive here. You will see this all the time if you watch the Knicks closely, right? Whenever somebody starts to drive to the paint, you're going to see the defense do this. They collapse in like this, and then they expand out really fast as they try to recover to shooters that they've left, right? But the purpose of this, the goal here, is to make the paint congested and to try to stop penetration. Now, in this case, it works, right? They stop penetration. Now, one thing I want to point out here, and as we go through this, I'm going to talk about some weaknesses with this scheme, some things that I'm not the craziest about, okay? We'll talk about some benefits as well. An obvious benefit is, right, you stop penetration, or at least you make it harder, and you reduce shots at the rim. Those are good things. But notice Brunson here. He's got 2 feet in the restricted area. But what is he doing on this play? Is he offering any help on Ja Morant? It's not clear. It looks like Mitch has him pretty well squared up. And even if, Ja happened to beat Mitch, let's say he does, I don't think Brunson is going to offer a lot of resistance in this sort of instance, right? He's small. He's not really a rim protector. But, Mitch has him pretty well bottled up, and RJ's here ready to recover to him. Okay, so it's not exactly clear that this is very useful help. But this is not Brunson making an error. This is a schematic thing, okay? So Tibbs is running here this is not a read and react defense. I'll put it that way. This is a rule-based defense, okay? When X happens, you do Y. And in this particular instance, it's when somebody penetrates, you collapse and help. When it's from the top of the key like this, like a high pick and roll, the weak side defender should get 2 feet in the paint every time, right? That's a principle that's a Tom Thibodeau principle, okay? It doesn't matter if it's really not going to offer much help. It doesn't matter that you open up a passing lane to threes, because it does this all the time, to good threes too, to corner threes. It doesn't matter that the recovery is really far. Always get down into the paint. Okay. Now, one thing this does is it does reduce some mistakes, because it's a lot more cognitively easy to be like, okay, anytime someone penetrates, I got to get to that spot and then get back to my man, right? If you know that, that's easier than trying to determine each play, do I need to help, right? Is this a position or a play in which me helping down is going to make a difference or is going to help? That's much more cognitively demanding, and this is easier. Simple rules, help down. So in that case, there's an advantage to the defense. Okay, so now in this particular instance, Ja Morant's late to notice this. He doesn't make the pass in time to make any difference. He ends up getting it to the wing instead. And what we did see, remember I said, RJ was just about back to Ja. He got back to Ja and now he's in front of him. No problem. Okay. So now we're going to see a different instance of overhelping. But again, it's the same sort of idea. He begins to make a move towards the center of the court, right? He begins to start driving. And as a result, RJ comes way down here to try to offer help, to try to deny penetration, okay? Now, as a result, he leaves his man. And look at how great this distance is. Now, here's another weakness of this defense. It requires really significant attention, right? You have to pay attention as the Clydeism goes. You got to see the ball and see your man. See the ball, see your man. And you have to be really on top of it. Because while RJ is doing this, right, while he's watching his man, Ja Morant is going to start moving. And that's exactly what happens. RJ loses sight of him. And as a result, overhelping leads to a wide open three, and Ja splashes. Okay, so let's watch this play in speed, collapse, recover. RJ overhelps, loses sight of his man, and splash. Okay, now that's obviously a very quick play, but we saw a lot happen there. Okay, let's see. Another thing I want to focus on is that there are plays that defenses can run that are designed to exploit this. We already saw, like, you don't need to run plays. Sometimes just the distance that this is going to create between defenders and their men is going to give you open three-point shots. We saw in one play that was like 7 seconds long and involved, a pick and roll and a simple drive. 2 open threes were basically created, although the Grizzlies only took 1. But there are also just easy, very simple sets that you can use to exploit and attack this defense. Okay, so we're going to get a pick and roll here. RJ goes under the screen and tries to get back. Again, Julius here, right? This is Julius's man. He's helping way off to try to stem the penetration. Fournier getting just about 2 feet in the paint. I guess just 1 foot in the paint. I can't tell which way his momentum is going at this point. And Brunson down as well. Everybody's getting low, right? Everybody's contracting in to stop penetration. Now, all the Grizzlies do here, basically, they just show that they're thinking about penetrating. They don't actually penetrate. This play is designed as a quick hitter. They set a quick screen for the man in the corner. And because Julius is all the way over here and Fournier is helped this far down, there's nobody to offer any help. It would be hard for Fournier to recover here, even if the screener wasn't here. And I'll show you an example of that here in just a moment. But there is a screener here, and it makes it basically impossible for him to recover. And with almost no work, the Grizzlies get a really wide open 3 from the best spot on the court, corner 3. Like, this is simple basketball, right? And this is the sort of play that this over-helping scheme is going to be susceptible to. This is not I don't look at this and see like major issues with what the defense did in this particular instance. Okay, let's watch one last play of this, and then we'll talk briefly about transition, and I'll close up. Okay, so here we're going to see overhelping, and I'm just going to play this one through kind of fast. We're going to see Fournier get way down into the paint, 2 feet into the paint like this, and then recover. And there's a special reason why he comes all the way over here. It's because this is an empty side pick and roll, so there's nobody to bump. And again, Tibbs is just not happy with allowing the 2 guys guarding the pick and roll to handle it. He wants everybody to come down. Now, Fournier comes this far down, and this just becomes an impossible recovery, right? Everybody is helped down. There's nobody else there to help. And they get a wide open, again, corner 3, again, without much work at all, right? Like, this is not deep penetration, right? This guy, I mean, he hasn't even gotten a foot in the paint, right? And they're able to get an easy corner 3 as a result. So again, this is just exploiting the scheme. The Grizzlies have recognized what the Knicks are doing, and they're just exploiting the scheme. And And when you have a guy like Fournier, who's not the best defender, this is really demanding on somebody like him. One thing I would note here, and that I wish that Tibbs would have done here, we saw this a lot in the preseason, and one of my first videos was on this issue. Julius Randle often was switching pick and rolls in preseason, especially when they weren't 4-5 pick and rolls with Mitch. So in this instance, I would love to see Julius Randle fully switch and not play drop defense and have RJ take this man. And if you do that, if you just switch it straight up, right, instead of trying to do what the Knicks do here, which is essentially, look, they're essentially trying to keep him from going left. They're trying to, it used to be the case that defenses only iced the pick and roll on the baseline, but, or that was like the primary uses of it, not the only, but they're icing the pick and roll here and trying to send him to the middle where they have a bunch of people. But then what you're doing is putting Julius Randle in drop coverage, and you can't be comfortable with that because it's Julius Randle in drop coverage, and he's not good at that. So you're forced to send Fournier all the way over here. It's just, you're just doing too much at that point, in my view. I think it would be way better to just switch that pick and roll, leave Fournier, maybe have him help down to here where he can actually recover. I mean, look at this. Look how many, 4 guys here essentially guarding Jean Morant, and RJ that's his man. Like, what are we doing? That's too much going on. Okay, enough about this overhelping stuff. Maybe we'll get into the transition troubles and another day. I want to keep these short. So I'm just going to say thanks so much for listening. It's starting to get dark here. I need to turn my lights on. But if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. It really helps. We're trying to build up the Strickland on YouTube a little bit and get it going. If you have things you want to talk about, you have questions about some of the plays you saw, comments about some of the things I said, please leave it in the bottom, or things you want me to talk about in future episodes. I'd be very happy to, I want to read about this stuff and talk about this stuff with you guys. That's what makes it fun to me, not just like, talking to an empty room. So hopefully you guys interact a little bit and tell me what you saw, what you think about Tibbs' overhelping scheme. Does it pay off in terms of rim protection? Is it worth it, what you give up on the perimeter? Or do you think that some of these weaknesses are such that, a less aggressive defense would be better? Just really curious to hear what your thoughts are. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. Until the next Dallas Palace of Analysis.